Of all the mysterious and disturbing archaeological discoveries, none equals the Tumulus in Bradford County, Pennsylvania, USA. The tomb was found at the end of the 19th century by a fluke of 3 researchers, who were unaware of what was under his feet. The 3 researchers were a group of antique distinguished, including historian Pennsylvania and dignitary of the Presbyterian, Dr. Church, G.P. Donahue, Ab Skinner Museum of American Research, and W.K. Moorhead, Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts. Instead of finding the bodies of Native Americans in Spanish Hill, researchers unearthed beneath the mound several extravagant skeletons, because of its impressive height of 2 meters. These skeletons in particular had another feature that has never been recorded among humans: real horns protruding from his forehead 5 centimeters above his eyebrows. It is estimated that had been buried in the 13th century. The skull with horns, Sayre, Pennsylvania. More interesting is the fact that the local people reported strange occurrences that closely resembled skeletons with horns found in the Barrow Sayre. Like many new archaeological finds, shortly after the skeletons were sent to the Museum of Philadelphia, they were allegedly stolen or misplaced and lost. Apparently, these pieces of history could have shed some light on the prehistoric inhabitants of North America these days. On the other hand, some argue that these skeletons are the remains of beings who served for the higher purposes, suggesting a culture of Nephilim and their offspring. They formed together called Shining, often depicted as creatures with horns. The horns symbolize wisdom and governance, and this correlation can be seen in many shamanic cultures, where members adorn their heads with horns. According to a theory of the writer Mary Sutherland, the use of horns as an ornament in the headdress was made to show kinship with a bloodline Atlanti with a right to rule. Here you can see the article that made public the history of the skeletons with horns, on a page of Moorhead Expedition. Article with the title "Article about the Giants with Horns" was published on July 12, 1914, according to Deb Twigg, Executive Director of Susquehanna River Archaeological Center of Native Indian Studies SRAC. This is the headline of the news article, earliest date she could find. That's 1916, unlike the 1880s. This article goes on to say that it is one of the most remarkable scientific discoveries in history made here. 68 skeletons of men, who lived 700 years unearthed between Sayre and Waverly ago. A strange member, I had 2 meters. Horns protruded from his skull. Solid bone horns that grew straight out from the skull about 5 centimeters above the perfectly formed skull, and gave all the evidence having been there since birth. The legends of many Native Americans speak of a race of early responsible for the giant megalithic structures that can be found throughout North America. When the first settlers called the Native Americans talk about the peculiar megalithic structures, they came up with an answer that does not satisfy skeptics. Whole land was inhabited long ago by an ancient race of powerful people who had emerged from the sea. Is this the truth, as some baffling legends hold, or a simple deceptive maneuver Native Americans to hide a greater awareness that very few are chosen to understand? It is easier to lie when mixed with conservative elements of truth. Until all traces of the skeleton lost or stolen are discovered, many questions remain unanswered, and the need for answers, for those who seek, finally propose more elaborate and possibly more precise, as to their origin theories, its purpose and what caused their extinction if it happened,